Around the same time, the mosque in nearby Vlastitsa was burned down by the VJ and local MUP reservists, while in Vladovo, houses were looted and burned, and its residents also fled and travelled to Macedonia, escorted by MUP and VJ forces. The residents of Prilepnica were ordered to leave the village first on 6th April and again on 13th April 1999. In Uroševac municipality, southwest of Gnjilane, villages were also attacked in late March and during April 1999. In Sojevo, VJ, police, and other armed individuals working together with them burned houses and killed several people, while the local residents were forced to travel in convoys towards Uroševac town. Some of these people continued on by bus to the Macedonian border. At the beginning of April, approximately 1,000 displaced people arrived in Miroslavlje. When military forces then approached Miroslavlje, its inhabitants and others sheltering there formed convoys and travelled towards Uroševac by bus and travelled south to and across the Macedonian border. Also at the beginning of April, the village of Staro Selo was occupied by VJ forces, who stayed for a few days and then left, burning houses as they departed. Shortly thereafter, a group of VJ volunteers arrived in the village and ordered local men to dig trenches, confiscated vehicles, and extorted money from the inhabitants. The villagers left their homes out of fear and walked to Uroševac town. Many later boarded trains that took them to the Macedonian border. Finally, in Kačanik municipality in the south of Kosovo, bordering Macedonia, Kosovo Albanians were expelled from the town and surrounding villages from the beginning of the NATO air campaign. VJ and MUP forces attacked Kotlina on 24th March, sending the local women and children by truck and on foot towards Kačanik town. Other villagers who escaped detection fled towards Macedonia at the time of the attack. A few days later, VJ and MUP forces entered Kačanik town and fired towards some houses from positions in a local factory. The following day, the residents of this part of the town decided to leave their homes out of fear of the MUP forces and travelled on foot to Macedonia. In April 1999, VJ and MUP units entered the village of Vata and looted houses there. On 21st May 1999, VJ and MUP forces attacked Stagovo, and on 25th May, Dubrava. The residents of Dubrava decided to go to Macedonia because they knew and feared what had happened in other villages. The women, old men, and children formed a convoy, while the younger men hid in the woods nearby. Several people were shot near Reka, close to Dubrava, at the time of this attack, including a girl who died and a 12-year-old boy who was seriously injured. In addition to the evidence pertaining to the specific crime sites set out in the indictment, the Chamber heard evidence going to the broad pattern of violence and intimidation of the Kosovo Albanian population from witnesses who were members of the VJ and MUP forces in Kosovo at that time. For example, 3 former members of the VJ who testified under protective measures admitted that they were involved in the expulsion of Kosovo Albanians from their homes during the NATO campaign. Other witnesses from the VJ and MUP described their own participation in the killing of Kosovo Albanian civilians and other criminal acts. Applying the legal elements of the crimes charged in the indictment to the facts found proved in relation to each of the 13 municipalities, the trial chamber finds that the crimes of deportation, a crime against humanity, other inhumane acts, forcible transfer, a crime against humanity, murder, a violation of the laws or customs of war, and a crime against humanity, and murder, sexual assault, and wanton destruction of or damage to religious property as forms of persecution on ethnic grounds were committed by VJ and MUP forces in many of the locations alleged in the indictment. However, there were a number of allegations that were not proved on the facts or did not satisfy one or more of the requisite legal elements, such as the execution of at least 17 people in Kotlina on or about 24th March 1999, and the deliberate destruction of several mosques, and these charges are dismissed. The Chamber also notes that for some crime sites where there was a large number of murder charges and the indictment listed the alleged victims by name in a schedule, the prosecution did not provide convincing evidence that all the particular named victims were in fact among the dead, although the Chamber was satisfied that the killing of a significant group of people by the VJ and or MUP forces took place as alleged. I will now briefly set out the Chamber's findings in respect of each of the accused. Milan Milutinović was the President of Serbia throughout 1998 and 1999, and much of the evidence brought by the prosecution and his defence concerned the nature and extent of his powers in that position. The judgment sets out the Chamber's analysis of the pertinent provisions of the Serbian Constitution and other relevant legislation, as well as of the witness testimony in relation to those provisions. The Chamber finds that, as President of Serbia, Milutinović did not have direct individual control over the VJ, a federal institution. His formal role in relation to the VJ was as an ex officio member of the Supreme Defence Council, or SDC, which comprised FRY President Slobodan Milosevic, along with the presidents of Serbia and Montenegro, and which made strategic decisions with respect to the VJ. However, analysis of the records of SDC sessions in evidence does not indicate the formulation or implementation of the common plan alleged in the indictment. Moreover, there is no direct evidence of SDC meetings after the 23rd of March 1999, the eve of the NATO air campaign, although the Chamber is convinced that Milutinović and FRY President Milosevic continued to meet during the NATO campaign and retained formal command over the VJ through the SDC, or a similar body known as the Supreme Command. The evidence does not indicate, however, that Milutinović took part in the exercise of command over the VJ after 23rd March 1999. The Chamber also finds that in practice it was Milosevic, sometimes termed the Supreme Commander, who exercised actual command authority over the VJ during the NATO campaign.